Welcome into the Brooks Bench with your host, Brooke, aka Shiggy, and my co-host, Megan.
What's up?
Welcome back. We're going over the SEC preview today. If you need to see the Big Ten preview, we did it. Go check it out on our channel. And while you're there, hit that subscribe button. Like, comment, share. Stay up to date with all things basketball, WNBA, college, fantasy basketball. We're here. We're your people. But like I said, we're getting into the SEC preview. College basketball tips off November 4th. How excited are you, Megan?
Super excited. I love college basketball.
It's so much fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster. And
Yep.
now that everyone, the Pac-12 kind of disbanded and they're all in new conferences this year, it's going to be competitive. So I'm really
Yeah.
excited.
hmm
Really excited. Okay, but let's get into the preview. Okay, first off, like I said, Pac-12 and other conferences decided to jump ship. So, Texas and Oklahoma are the new teams to the SEC this year. There was a preseason poll. South Carolina was number one. Texas is number two. LSU three. Oklahoma four. Ole Miss five. Alabama at six. Tennessee at seven. Kentucky at eight. Florida at nine. Vanderbilt at 10. Mississippi State at 11. Auburn at 12. Texas A&M at 13. Georgia at 14. Missouri at 15. And Arkansas at 16. I'm actually looking at this right here. I'm kind of surprised Kentucky's this low. I know
hmm
it's gonna be crazy. Virginia, it's basically Virginia Tech, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Kentucky Tech. It's Kentucky Tech this year, right? So I
Yeah.
mean, I am kind of surprised, because I feel like people had high hopes for Kentucky. Georgia Amore's there now. Um, but what do you think? What do you think about the top 16? Well, I mean, the preseason poll.
Yeah. I thought too that Kentucky would be ranked a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Um, and I honestly thought Ole Miss would drop a little bit.
Interesting.
But outside of that, I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I know Oklahoma shot up there because they got Reagan Beers.
hmm
Crazy. That's going to be interesting. I'm still surprised she went to Oklahoma. I am
hmm
still surprised about that. Um, but let's get into the preseason awards off that note. So the SEC Player of the Year is actually a three-way tie, which is also kind of funny. Flage, Anissa Morrow, Madison Booker. Great, great contestant. I mean, great, predictions. I mean, if you had to choose one, because obviously I don't think it's going to be a three-way tie, right?
uh
Who do you think takes SEC Player of the Year?
I feel like I'm leaning towards Anissa Morrow.
Really?
Yeah. I
Okay,
think that
interesting.
before she went to LSU, I thought she
Mm-hmm.
was a great player.
Mm-hmm.
I think LSU is a good fit for her, but I do feel like now that Angel Reese isn't there,
Mm-hmm.
it'll allow her to step out more and take the team over a little bit. Um, so yeah, I mean, Flau'jae is great, Madison Booker's great, but I think Anissa can be the leader of that team. I know LSU's still pretty stacked with Michaela Williams, Flau'jae. You know what I mean? They still
Mm-hmm.
have good, solid players they're bringing back, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like Anissa can be the one.
It's funny you made that argument because I was gonna make the same argument for Flage because I feel
Mm,
like Flage, her freshman and sophomore year, I feel like we saw sparks of how dominant she could be. She's
uh-huh,
super athletic. Like you see it, right? And I feel like without Angel Reese, everyone's
uh-huh.
talking about Angel Reese. Another year for Flage, another year older, junior year. I think she's gonna take off. Like I think
Uh,
we're gonna see what Flage can really do at her highest potential.
yeah.
Obviously Madison Booker had a great freshman season. With Rory Harmon coming back, I want to see how that changes. Because
Uh-huh.
I love Rory Harmon. I was so sad when she got hurt.
Yeah.
She's a stud. So I want to see how that balances out. And then they got Philia. Layla Filia from Michigan. So
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's a lot of good people that they're surrounding Madison Booker with. Um, but yeah, I'm curious to see how that pans out. I understand why it's a three-way tie going into preseason because you can make a case for all of them. I
Yeah.
mean, Madison Booker had a great freshman season. It's only up from here,
Yeah.
so I totally see that, right? First team All SEC. We have Sarah Ashley Barker from Alabama, Georgia Amore from Kentucky, Anissa Morrow, Flau'jae, Reagan Beers from Oklahoma, Tahina Powell from South Carolina, and then Madison Booker. Um, you know what? I'm just rooting for Malaysia Fulwiley so much. I really want to see her on the first team.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Pow, another year with South Carolina. I'm glad she went back. I'm glad she went back for another year. Um, and then the second team, All SEC, we have Michaela Williams, LSU, Madison Scott, Ole Miss, Skylar Van from Oklahoma, Raven Johnson, South Carolina, Malaysia Fulwiley, South Carolina, and then Rory Harmon, Texas. Any player missing or any other additions, subtractions from this list?
Uh, Amore. Oh, you said her
She's
already.
on
She's
there.
first team.
First team,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, yeah, no, this is a solid list. I'm really excited about the SEC because
Yes.
this is like there are some good
Good
players.
players.
There's
Yeah.
some good players. Like I wouldn't be surprised if come middle of the season we're talking about whole different players of the years.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could see this really like on the one we just did, the Big Ten. You
Yeah.
know, it's kind of like I
You
see him
know
run
who's gonna
away.
win. It's
Yeah,
like you know who's gonna get played. You know,
right,
there's this SEC is more uncertainty. Like
right,
what's gonna
exactly.
happen?
Yeah, so I would not be. I'll say now, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some names switch around here.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, for Wally could be on first team easy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Roy Harmon. I mean, come on, let's not forget who she is.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But it's just gonna be interesting to see how she comes back from the injury. But yeah, no, I
Agreed.
I can see both first team and second team switching up.
Agreed. It's gonna be fun. I agree with
Mm-hmm.
you. Now looking at it and like I know like we do the notes and then it's like you see it, but like when we're talking about it now, I'm like, wow, like all these they're stars. They're stars in the SEC. Okay, let's get into the team breakdowns. If you watch the Big Ten preview, you know we're gonna go over the SEC teams that fell inside the AP top 25. So we have South Carolina at 1, Texas at 4, LSU at 7, Oklahoma at 10, Ole Miss at 20, and Kentucky at 22. So first up, South Carolina, number 1. If you guys don't know, if you're new here,
Big South
South
Carolina
Carolina.
fans.
You win some, you lose none, baby. Go Dawn. Honestly, big Dawn Staley fan. But okay, so we have a lot of returners. A lot of returners. They only lost Cardoso and then Sanaya Ja transferred out because of the whole, debacle she had, right? But they're basically returning everyone else. They got Joyce Edwards, huge signing. Remember
Mm-hmm.
that whole thing where everyone thought she was going to LSU and then Dawn got her major. Oh my God. This is a
Yeah.
crazy story. I did see Joyce Edwards highlights from that one preseason game the other week. Dude, she's insane. She's dominant. Wow. I'm excited to see the South Carolina team. Obviously, they haven't changed. Same team.
Yeah.
Losing Cardoso is huge. We know that. But man, Joyce Edwards is the real deal. She was a number 3 recruit on ESPN's rankings. They also got Maddie McDaniel, number 14 recruit, and then Edhel Tak, number 28 recruit. So I mean, small recruiting class, very very small,
Uh-huh.
intimate, but all hitters, all in the top 30. But I'm really excited for Joyce Edwards. I'm curious to see how Dawn constructs her team. I feel like every year Dawn works her magic and it works out.
Yeah.
But we're for sure going to see Joyce Edwards. I'm hoping we see Malaysia Fulwiley take that next step. What do you think?
Yeah. And I think she can. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I think we saw it already last year, her growth from
Mm-hmm.
the beginning of the season to the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not worried about her. I think she's gonna be great. I think she's gonna be an under Dawn for off season, coming back into her sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love her. I love her as a player. I love
Can
watching
you
her game.
can you imagine how great she's going to be after 4 years with Dawn?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's going to be insane. It's definitely going to be insane. South Carolina did have one transfer, Miriam Dowda
Mhm.
from Arkansas. She was the number 13 ranked recruit in the class of 2021. Just another forward to add to their depth. I mean, losing
They got
Cardoso.
height.
Yeah, losing Cardoso, I mean, unicorn. What was she like, 6'7"? Like,
Hmm.
there's just not a lot of, 6'7" women out there, right? Um, but the outlook on South Carolina, what's your feeling around them? Are they gonna go back to back? What do you think?
I think they're still going to be dominant.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's really hurting them is that Ashlyn Watkins thing because I mean
Right. Forgot
she's
about that.
suspended. You know, she's going through that
Yeah.
whole thing. Who knows if she's going to play this season? What's going to happen with that?
Mm-hmm.
I think that hurts them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
a post player that was very
Athletic. Yeah.
dominant and
Mm-hmm.
very contributing to their wins last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that hurts. Um, but you know, just means like Chloe Kitt's got to step up. You know, they do
Mm-hmm.
got some big freshmen coming in, and if anyone can get them ready, it's Don.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not concerned with them. I see
Mm-hmm.
them being probably number one for most of the year. So
Definitely. No, I'm excited for South Carolina. Like I said, they're returning most of their starters. I'm excited to see their growth, them take the next step. Because a lot of these players didn't play, the year prior. And that's why everyone was doubting them. Like, do they still have it? Like, this is a rebuild year, right?
uh-huh.
And they showed like, no, like we're good. Like we've been ready. And now it's like another year of them being starters and them gelling together.
Uh-huh.
It could be scary. It could be scary. And then adding Joyce Edwards. Like, okay,
Uh-huh.
it's going to be a fun season. Okay, over to Texas, number 4. Not surprised they're number 4. Texas came off a good year. They did end up losing Shaylee Gonzalez. She was there for a minute. Their
Uh-huh.
three-point shooter, but they're getting Rory Harmon back from injury. Excited about that. They did lose a couple of transfers. Faye, Gaston, Heron, Maul, and Muhammad. Oh, they lost Muhammad. She put some good minutes on for that team. Um, Other than that, they did have 3 freshmen. So we have Justice Carlton, number 12 on the ESPN's rankings, Jordan Lee, number 9, and Brianna Preston, number 38. So good all-around recruiting class.
Uh-huh.
2 guards and a forward. But I mean, they did get 2 transfers. Yeah, like I was saying, Philia. Great. I
Uh-huh.
like Philia. I think she's underrated. She's a senior this year, and then they got Kyla Oldacree. I think I
Yeah,
said that
not
right.
too
Yeah.
familiar with her.
Yeah. But I mean, Philia is a great signing. I think
Uh-huh.
this definitely helps their team out, get extra support for Rory and Madison Booker. But what do you think about Texas? I mean, I feel like the temperature around them last year is they kind of made a surprise push in the playoffs, in my
Uh-huh.
opinion. I feel like they were slept on. Right when they lost Rory, I feel like people kind of
Yeah.
ignored them. And then that's when Madison Booker stepped up, and then in playoffs they were kind of just like, no, we're here. Like we're gonna push this. We're gonna try and win,
Uh-huh.
right? So now, with the addition with Philia, Roy Harmon back healthy, what do you think about Texas?
Yeah, I think people are still going to sleep on them. I
Mm-hmm.
think they need to see what Roy and Madison can do because at the end of the day, they're going to be the ones leading this team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, I think Roy only helps Madison Booker's game
Mm-hmm.
because it takes that pressure off of Madison having to be that main ball handler. Because
Yeah.
I mean, we saw them in the Elite Eight, right? Sweet
Mm-hmm.
16 when we went.
Mm-hmm.
She's having to constantly be the main ball handler.
Yeah.
And now Roy helps so much with that. So it
Mm-hmm.
just puts a lot of pressure off of Madison. And I think that's going to help them a lot. The only thing I hope, and this is more, I guess, on the coaching
Mm-hmm.
style of how Texas was last year, is I just felt like they played very reserved basketball. They weren't aggressive. Like, let's
Yeah.
get to the paint. Let's really like they settled a lot for jump shots.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. And I know Madison Booker, that's her thing, that
Mm-hmm.
mid-range pull
Yeah.
up jump shot. And I totally get that. But
Mm-hmm.
there has to be someone on this team that can like get to the basket, draw the foul when needed, down the stretch. But I think they're gonna be slept on until they, prove some
Yeah.
people wrong again.
But to your point, that's what Philia does. I mean,
Yeah.
a dog, Roy Harmon.
Yeah.
quick to the paint. I mean,
Yep.
those are the things you're mentioning that they were missing last year, but I think that's what they're gaining this year.
Yep.
So
I
I'm
hope.
really excited to see Texas.
Mhm.
I'm just excited to see all these teams. Like, I just can't wait. November 4th, come on.
Yeah.
Um, okay, over to LSU. LSU is going to be interesting. They are ranked number 7 in the AP Top 25. They did lose Angel Reese. And they lost. Obviously, they lost Katori Poole. But she transferred out. Janae Kent, Van Lith, and Angelica Velez.
So
Um,
guards.
yeah. And they
Mhm.
weren't playing because that's why they left, right?
Mhm.
But I mean, they're returning a lot of good players. I mean, Samaya Smith got hurt, and we were like, she was going off. That
Mhm.
it would have been different with her in. And then they have Anissa Morrow, still Flau'jae, Michaela Williams. I mean, Poe is coming back. And then they had one recruit, which
Mhm.
I'm very surprised.
Yeah.
Jada Richard, number 90 ESPN. Wow, number 90. Okay. I think they were
Well,
banking on,
she's from there.
yeah. I think they're
So
banking on
yeah.
that Joyce
Yeah.
Edwards signing. So I mean, one recruit, but they had a couple of transfers. Cheyenne Day
Mhm.
Wilson, she was good for Miami, 11 points,
Yeah.
2 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. We have Kaylin Gilbert from Arizona, 15 points,
So
5
two
rebounds.
decent guards to replace the guards that left.
Exactly.
Not mad
I
at it.
I agree. Miracle Shepherd from Mississippi State. And then Jersey Wolfenbarger from Arkansas. Dang, a lot of Arkansas players transferred. I feel like in the Big Ten preview we mentioned a couple Arkansas transfers.
Mhm.
But LSU, Angel Reese, obviously, it's going to be a big loss for them. But we did say Anissa Morrow is going to step up. It's her time to shine now. What do you think about LSU?
Yeah, I think good team. I'm interested to see how Cheyenne Day fits in with them.
Mm-hmm.
I remember her freshman year when she played at Duke because I followed Duke
Mm,
basketball. But yeah, I think what they lost, they're easily, picking up with the transfers and
yeah, I
with the
agree.
returning players. I don't see them really skipping a huge step because, in my opinion, I felt like with Anissa and Angel there at the same time, I felt like Anissa a lot of times was taking quite a big back seat to Angel Reese, and I think that she left a lot in the tank that she could be pulling out this year. So
Mm-hmm.
I think, I mean, I still think they're gonna be in the running
Yeah,
come,
yeah,
you know, come March Madness. They're gonna put on a show.
yeah. No, I mean
I'm not concerned.
I agree with you. I think, obviously Angel Reese losing her is, tough for the team, but I think
Uh-huh.
it frees up a lot of other players. It's not so centered around her. Samaya Smith, I'm excited to see because I feel like last year we were starting to see her like really break out before she got hurt.
Yeah.
And then obviously another year for
Michaela
Michaela
Williams.
Williams. Yeah, another year for
She's a
her.
great player, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think
So,
she got overlooked a little bit because of like the freshman class just being so great. But
exactly.
let's not forget, I mean, she started with like almost every game for a
Mm-hmm.
reason.
Yeah.
She's a great player. She knows how to make some tough shots. So,
And we also have to take in consideration that was a big year of the transfers. They just got
mhm,
Van Lith, they got Anissa Morrow, then
yeah.
Michaela Williams comes in. It's a lot of gelling. Another year they have all together now.
Mhm.
So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But yeah,
Yep.
I agree. I think LSU will still be in the mix. Over to Oklahoma at number 10. Definitely was surprised until I remember they got Reagan Beers.
Mhm.
Reagan Beers transferred to Oklahoma. I am still shocked that she transferred to Oklahoma because there was rumors about UConn that she was
Yeah.
gonna go to UConn.
Heard that. Yeah.
That would have been crazy if she went to UConn. That would have been insane. Um, but they are returning mostly their entire team. The only people they
Mhm.
lost, Jordan Moser and Kendi Tucker, and then transferred out Kaylee Cooper and Kelby Washington. But other than that, they returned most of their team. They had 2 freshmen, Kaya Smith from Oklahoma.
Mhm.
She was the ESPN 72, ranked 72nd. And then Zaya Van, number 46 recruit in ESPN's rankings, also from Oklahoma. So,
Mhm.
some
Some
natives.
local. Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously the big signing, the big transfer, Reagan Beers killed it at Oregon State, 17.5 points per game at 10.3 rebounds per game. Um, but yeah, I mean, Oklahoma last year, I feel like they were one of those teams when we talked about in the Big Ten preview that it's like, oh, if they did good that week, they were somewhere between 23 and 25, right?
Yeah.
In the rankings. They'd get some good wins here, like Skylar Van and Peyton Volhurst. I remember them being very good for Oklahoma. But outside of that, I feel like they were just kind of there, like they might get a big upset here and there, but they weren't just like this dominant team. Reagan Beers comes in. Now you gotta look at them differently, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, any comments on Oklahoma just though as a whole? Like, do you think they're gonna stay in the top 10? Is it gonna take time to adjust or what?
So
Yeah.
in within their conference, I thought 4 was pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which would then also mean overall,
Yeah.
10 was a little high. But I know Reagan Beers is a beast, and
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like how I feel about UCLA, right? Having a big like that is hard to guard. So it's going to make it hard for teams in this league to guard her, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's going to be enough. I have to see how they can support her, how they can,
Mm-hmm.
make sure that they still the guards to be able to not make the defense just collapse on her. But
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like a big is super important in college. Like you saw with Cardoso. Like, I mean, the
yeah,
next tallest player, I mean, what? Angel Reese? 6'4"? Well, how tall is Angel Reese? I feel like 6'4" is the next biggest height, right?
yeah.
And then just I don't know. Reagan Beers is just I feel like dominant for her position, helps out Oklahoma a lot,
She's
and
thick. She's strong, man. Like
yeah.
she's not like, you know, she has a different build. And those
Mm-hmm.
ones, it's just a different type of basketball, so it makes it harder to guard. Like Angel Reese was a little more like had would try to get quicker steps on you.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Reagan she'll just back you down. She kind of like that old school back you down
Mm-hmm.
and kind of bang in there. So
Yep.
it's just different. And then when you think of like the other post players on these other teams like South Carolina and stuff that not having walk-ins, like who's really going to be able to like bang with her down there. So
Mm-hmm.
be
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, over to Ole Miss, ranked number 20 in the AP Top 25. Um, they are returning a lot of players. They did have a couple of freshmen. And I'm sorry, I really tried to look up the pronunciations and I could not find them. So I'm gonna try my best for their freshmen. Syra Thino, I don't know. Jai Gibmator. Yeah. Fatumata
Fatumata, yeah, Fatumata.
Delo and Hello Carrera. Man, that was bad. I know, I'm sorry.
I think that
And
was
then
a good first attempt. We'll learn them by the end of the
thank
year.
you. No, yeah, it's easier. I feel like they should have when you go on the roster,
Yeah.
they should have their enunciation so I can pronounce it right. And I feel like, yeah, it's easier when you get to hear them during the game. Then I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
now I got it for the next time, right?
Yeah.
They had a couple of transfers. So Tamia Sadler from Colorado, Star Jacobs from Arkansas Pine Bluff, and then Christine Walla, UCLA. Um, so good pickups,
Mhm.
notable colleges. But Ole Miss. Now Ole Miss, wish Brooke was here because Brooke loves Ole Miss.
Mhm.
Scrappy, you never know. It's like the saying, every dog has their day.
Yeah.
Ole Miss will be that day against you. That's Ole Miss. Like you don't
Yeah.
know if you're gonna win or lose that day because they could come out and just their defense magnificent always. That's when I think Ole Miss. I'm just thinking dominant defense. I
Mhm.
always think of when they upset Stanford.
And I love how hyped their coach gets. I just love
Yeah.
her. I love following her on social media because if there's ever been a coach that can get you hype or motivated,
Mm-hmm.
I swear it's her.
Yeah.
But
Don't
yeah,
good.
I was just gonna say, yeah, like you said, Ole Miss is gonna be that scrappy team. They play with heart. You
Mm-hmm.
gotta love it. They play with a lot of
Definitely.
heart. I just
Definitely.
hope that injuries don't take them down this year because I think last year that's what held them up quite a bit.
Yeah. And the thing about Ole Miss that I think we come to appreciate is like they don't have like these huge stars, these huge transfers, the top recruiting class, but they go out there and they compete against those people.
Uh-huh.
And they still give them a run for their money every single
Uh-huh.
year, right? Um, Ole Miss tends to fall in and out of the top 25, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think this is a good ranking. I think you have to give them respect for what they've done in the past in their history,
Uh-huh.
and I think that's
It's
what they
it's a
did here.
team that has bought into their coaches like philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
and it shows. It shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, would it be helpful if they were able to kind of snag
Get a
a top
star.
recruit or something?
Yeah.
Of course, but for who they have on the team, and don't get us wrong, we're not saying anything bad. We know they have KKDs, Kennedy
Yeah.
Todd Williams,
No, they have
Madison
good
Scott. Like they
players.
got players,
Yeah.
but they really are a team where a lot of their wins come from buying in and playing all the way to the buzzer ends at the end of the game. So
Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, Coach Yo, I mean, she hasn't been there too long, right? But
right,
it's like it's gonna be that Dawn Staley, Asia Wilson thing where she's gonna have to find a top recruit that buys in and then they can build around that
yeah,
to go for that championship. I just think that's how that story is gonna unfold for them.
yeah.
Right. Okay, the last SEC team in the top 25, Kentucky at 22. And I know this is just because they got all these transfers. Yeah, they ranked him here. The only two players returning for Kentucky are Cassie Rowe and Sanaya Tyler. They did graduate Emma King. Um, let's talk about their freshmen before we get into all 30,000 of their transfers. They lost everyone transferred out though. Everyone. So
Yeah,
we won't even get into that. So they're freshmen. Tanai Becker from Canada, Lexi Blue, ranked number 40 in ESPN's rankings. Clara Silva from Portugal. Um, they only had three freshmen because they had 20 transfers.
that
So
Clara Sylvia one, I think is gonna be good because she's bringing
all that Euro
yeah,
experience. Yeah, we've seen
that's
it.
helpful.
It
And
is.
playing overseas ain't no
It's
joke.
tough.
So
Exactly. I agree with you. I totally agree with that. But let's get into their transfers. The most notable one, Georgia Amore, Virginia Tech legend.
we already know. Great player.
Did you she got a lot of hate for leaving, but it's like she graduated. She graduated from Virginia Tech and let her be a graduate somewhere else, you know?
Uh-huh,
She didn't abandon you guys. She graduated.
uh-huh.
Gabby Brooks, Amelia Hassett, Tiani Key, good signing. Tiani Key, that's a good signing. Uh, Desire Lawrence, Jordan Obi, Dominika Parova, ooh, Clara Strack. I like Clara Strack. She's gonna be good. When she had to fill in for Elizabeth Kitley in Virginia Tech, those couple of games, we saw a star in the making. I think
Yeah.
as she gets more years under her belt, I think she's gonna be pretty good. I know her stats aren't there yet, but
Uh-huh.
she's gonna be good. A lot of veteran leadership on this team. I mean, their transfers. You got, Georgia Amore, graduate transfer, redshirt senior, graduate, a lot of graduate transfers on this. Um, I'm curious to see what Kenny Brooks does though without his Elizabeth Kitley.
Uh-huh.
I'm very curious because I know if you've been here, we did make fun of, not make fun of Kenny Brooks. We're just very critical of him sometimes, okay? Very.
Just his decision making
Just
at
his,
times.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Kentucky does. I want to see if his philosophy can transfer over from Virginia Tech, losing Elizabeth Kitley, to transfer over here, seeing Tiani Key and Claire Strack, and seeing what he
Uh-huh.
can come up with. SEC's tough, Kenny. SEC is tough. That's what I'm worried about. But I'm also the only other thing I'll touch on about Kentucky. Georgia Amore is her last season in college. Moving to the SEC is tough. We saw it didn't work out for Haley Van Lith that much. Does it work out for Georgia Amore?
Yeah. I don't know. I think so.
I think obviously they're two different players in my opinion.
Yeah.
I do think it works out for her. Hopefully it helps her draft stock. She had a great season last year. No Elizabeth Kitley. Gives her a chance to play without Elizabeth Kitley for all those people that were like, oh, it's only
I mean,
Elizabeth
but she
Kitley.
also knows Kenny system, like you
Yep.
know what I mean? That's a
Yep.
difference. Like you're not going to a whole team where you're learning all new players, you're
Yep.
learning a whole new system, and
Mm-hmm.
you're playing kind of out of position
Mm-hmm.
essentially.
Okay, I like your comparisons there to Van Lith. Okay, yep, you're right. That's why she'll succeed. I get what you're
Yeah,
saying. But SEC, I mean, they're tough.
yeah.
Tough, gritty,
It'll be nice
gritty.
to see her against different competition too. And I think that
Yes,
if she is able to excel, that only helps her
agreed.
stock because you know, being able to show your talent against different teams. And, she played at Virginia Tech and kind of the same players. You play as they grow up, you
Mm-hmm.
play the same people. So it does mix it up and allows her to play people that she didn't really play unless they met in the tournament. So,
Yeah. I hope Kentucky can remain in the top 25. Like I said, SEC is tough. A couple of
mhm.
those losses, I think, are going to hurt them, but they'll take in consideration the tough conference they're in. But okay. If you had to pick a team not named South Carolina to win this conference, who would it be?
That's not South Carolina.
That's not South Carolina. Because we're going to say
Mm.
South Carolina, and that's not fun because we did that with USC in the Big Ten. So we're going to mix it up a little bit. If it's not South
Mm.
Carolina, who is it going to be? I'm going to say Texas. What a gimme.
I'm gonna have to say maybe LSU.
Okay. Interesting. I like what Texas is developing. Philia like kind of sold it for me. I don't know. I just like Texas.
Mhm.
But you could say the same for LSU. Why LSU?
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, they lost Angel Reese, but they got a lot of those guards
I
coming
know.
back. Still
I
got
know.
Anissa Merle, and look how far they made it last year.
Yeah.
I don't see them slowing down.
You're right. And LSU has history in the SEC. Texas doesn't. You're right. Okay. I like your pick. Good pick. But okay, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to our SEC preview. If you haven't watched the Big Ten preview, go check it on our channel. And while you're there, hit that subscribe button. Like, comment, share. We appreciate your guys' support. The next recap or the next preview will either be the ACC or the Big 12. Let me know which one you guys want to hear next. But thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Peace.
Peace.